The weight loss equation. What the hell am I talking about? You may be asking. Well, I got my master's in education a very long time ago, pre-transition, and for a long time, not a long time, but for a couple of years, I helped the grade six math enriched kids at a private school um, with all of their math stuff. So I am a very mathy kind of thinker, quantifying everything. I'm a very numbers. I love to play with numbers and play with words. Um, but numbers is one of my favorite things. And most people look at the equation and don't realize it's an equation, mind you. And all they look at when they're trying to decide whether they want to lose weight or gain weight, and they look at the only side of the one side of the equation and they're like, calories in. How many calories am I eating? And how do I eat less calories? And so, they want to lose weight and they're like, okay, today I'm going to start eating less calories, not really knowing how many calories they're actually eating for the large majority of people. I will say that most people, if they tell you they eat 2,000 calories, add 20%, give or take. They're probably eating 2,400 calories. Most people don't really look and actually figure out how many calories they're eating on a daily basis. Now, some people do, but most people estimate, and their estimation is almost always incorrect. Almost always it's high, but that's a second story. So let's look at this equation of calories. And we still haven't even talked about the other side of the equation, but let's look at that equation. And most people are like, okay, so I'm going to cut out sugar. Good job. Cutting out sugar is an excellent way of reducing your calories in a really good way. Eating more whole foods. Awesome. Great idea. Eggs, all of that stuff. Like, I love the idea of real food versus manufactured, processed food that looks like food, but is probably not a lot of real food. Right? So we're looking at calories, and a lot of people, they're like, I want to lose weight, so I'm going to do this thing and I'm going to cut out sugar, or I'm going to just eat less. My portion sizes are going to shrink and I'm going to lose weight. And for a little while, it works because for a little while, their calories go down. And as a result of that, they think they're going to lose weight, and they're going to keep losing weight because they're eating less. Now, sometimes they inadvertently start eating a little bit more, but sometimes they actually cut their calories by, possibly a significant margin, and they lose weight for a little while, and then all of a sudden, the weight loss slows down, and they don't know why. And they slows down, and then they stop losing weight, but they're still eating that lower amount. And they're like, well, how's that possible? So they cut their calories again. And again, it spurs that little bit of weight loss. And then guess what happens again? The amount of weight they're losing slows down again until again it stops. Uh-oh, now they're eating so little that they're in a bit of a bind, because as soon as they eat more, and invariably that's what's going to happen, you're going to go and you're going to eat a little bit more, right? And you're going to eat a little bit more, and then guess what? Your weight starts going up, but now you're still eating less than you used to eat, but now you're gaining weight. Uh-oh, this is a big problem, and a lot of people have this problem. And the main reason they have this problem is they haven't really even considered the other side of the equation. What is this other side of the equation, Victoria? I'm dying to know, right? Okay, well, it's metabolic rate. Metabolic rate is how many calories your body burns at rest plus activity. So I love the idea of Jay Cutler, a famous bodybuilder. He was recently interviewed, and he said that he eats 140 eggs. He was eating 140 eggs a day. Yeah, you heard me right. Not 14, 140, to get his 500 grams of protein that his body needed to maintain his muscle mass. Uh-oh. And this is crazy. How is this person eating so much? Metabolic rate. That's the answer. And activity level. And Jay Cutler wasn't running a marathon every day. I'll tell you that for free. he was definitely, he might have been doing some cardio, but a lot of what he was doing is based upon what he was doing exercise wise, definitely. But metabolic rate is a combination of muscle mass, how much muscle your body carries, and how activated that muscle is. This becomes the difference of a used muscle versus a trained muscle. A used muscle is using a muscle to train your heart. Cardiovascular exercise. You go and cut the grass, your muscles got used, of course, but their main purpose was to get you to do the work. Functional strength, being able to push the lawnmower across the grass, and inadvertently you use the muscle, and also you trained your heart. Your heart rate got up a little bit. You trained your heart a little bit by doing that activity, right? Anaerobic exercise is the opposite of cardiovascular exercise in a lot of ways. Now you're training the muscle and inadvertently using the heart, because now the muscle, which looks like a bunch of spaghetti noodles all tied together, is really working in a much more effective way and actually causing microscopic tears in the muscle fiber. That's a trained muscle. A used muscle gets back to rest very quickly, and it's not really training anything. And so metabolic rate, I go back to that Jay Cutler story, he's probably eating 6,000 calories a day just to maintain his muscle mass. So he's eating calories all the way up here, all the way up here, because his metabolic rate is all the way up there, right? So he's got this thing where he's eating a ton, but he has to eat a ton to maintain his weight. Now, if he wants to cut his calories, he can cut 400 calories out of his diet and still be eating 2.5 times what most people eat, or 3 times as much as most people eat. Crazy, right? So this is, in effect, the answer of weight loss. It's not worrying exclusively about the one side of the equation, but actually looking at both sides of the equation simultaneously. How do you effectively lose weight? It's by, yes, getting your diet, working on whole foods and eating good foods and eating foods that are nutritionally, viable for your body, and helping you optimize your training and your workouts and your lifestyle. But the muscle mass, the activated muscle, the trained muscle that burns calories all the time, super fast. And as your metabolic rate goes up, guess what happens if you don't even change your diet? As your metabolic rate starts going up, the difference between those two areas is weight loss. In the old system, that system that I was talking about at the beginning, when you start cutting your calories, now let's look at that equation of the metabolic rate. If you're doing nothing and just cutting calories, your metabolic rate stays, let's pretty much, let's say, call it stable. And then you cut calories, and now you lose a little bit of weight. But what happens to this side of the equation? It starts falling until it matches. And then you cut your calories again, and it starts falling until you matches again. And now we're down here, and our metabolic rate is really, really low. Now we're eating 1,200 calories. And now we're what I would call metabolic hell. We are in this place where it doesn't matter what we do, we are screwed, because now we have to almost do a reverse diet to try and spur your calories, and then we have to work on your metabolic rate. And metabolic rate is the best way of reducing your weight, is actually by adding muscle, having that muscle trained and working for you, not working against you. When you cut calories exclusively, what you're doing in a lot of ways is you are, unless you're really, really perfect, you're catabolizing muscle. If you're not training, you're not working out, the body's like, well, I don't need this muscle, I'm just going to get rid of it. And usually when you catabolize, when you lose weight, your body loses muscle and fat in approximately the same percentages. So very, very important here. If you want to lose weight, cutting calories is not the one and only way, because invariably you will end up in this place where you plateau, and then you're going to get stuck. So you want to lose weight, hit the gym, start working out, start training those muscles. If you need help with any of that, reach out. Madison and I have a combined some like 50 years of training. I was a personal trainer at Good Life for a few years, and Madison is a master trainer. She's been running this business for 10 years, and in the last 2 years, all we do is train trans women. So if that's something you want and that's something you're interested in, come and join our little chosen family, and let's help you get that little body that you've been looking for.